Welcome to the Celebrating Women podcast, co-hosted by Mandee Montana and Ashley Fisher, a podcast that celebrates women, their issues, their thoughts, their lives, conversations that celebrate their gifts, their talents, their courage. It's the Celebrating Women podcast. Presented by Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Hey there, it's Mandee. And I've shared the secret of where I go to relax and where I like to unwind. It's Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler. They really have become an essential part of my self-care routine. I go monthly, sometimes more frequently, to get a massage, and they help me with my skincare too. I recently went to have a facial and I decided it was time for an upgrade. I chose the Nano Infusion Experience. And if you are looking for the top service for your skin, this is it. I left not only looking fabulous, but really feeling that way too. Holly took amazing care of me and my skin was so radiant and glowing. Y'all, I was dewy for days. This process infuses your skin with custom serums without needles or downtime, and it's customized for your needs. It might be my favorite skincare treatment yet. The next time you have a special event or you want to splurge and indulge yourself, this is what you want: the Nano Infusion Upgrade to your dermalogical facial. Schedule now by visiting Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa, located in Cumberland Shopping Center in Tyler, or book online at handandstonetyler.com.
Welcome back to the Celebrating Women podcast. I'm Ashley Fisher.
I'm Mandee Montana, and we have a special guest.
Hi, I'm Loree Petree.
Loree, we're so glad to have you here today.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
So Loree is special to us for a lot of reasons, but she's really special to us this week because she just took really good care of us yesterday. So Loree and her husband, Mike, are the franchisee owners. Is that correct?
Yes.
Of Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa Tyler. So they're our sponsors, but we love them so much. And they treated us to a massage and facial, both of us, yesterday. And it was amazing.
It was awesome. I'm very relaxed
that you
today.
enjoyed it.
We are both very relaxed today. I'm like looking at Ashley like she looks pretty relaxed.
I'm just doing good.
Being Jell-O is our goal. So
Yes.
if you feel like Jell-O, we did a good job.
You did an amazing job. So I've had the opportunity to get to know you a little bit over the last few years. Ashley's just getting to know both of you, but I have never really heard your whole story about kind of how the spa started. And I know you're an esthetician now, and I've always kind of wondered, but I've never really been able to pull you away from the spa and ask you. And so now that I have the opportunity,
I'm all yours.
I'm so excited for you to tell us about you, Loree. Like, how did you and Mike get started with Hand & Stone? Like, I know you're not originally from Tyler. You moved here for the franchise. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. So if we go way back, I met my husband in Irving. We both worked at a bank. I was still in high school, and he was my boss. So,
Wow.
a
Really?
little interesting tidbit. And I actually hated him at first. He was
funny.
He was a hard boss. He actually wanted me to work instead of do my nails in the
dare he?
drive-through. But he was from the East Texas area.
Okay.
And once I got over hating him, and decided he wasn't so bad after all, once we, became friends, started dating, he always said he wanted to get back to East Texas. And I grew up in Irving, just outside of Dallas. So I kind of humored him and said, sure, that's fine. But I was envisioning Longview, where he had family, or Tyler. And we ended up in Mount Pleasant.
Slightly different.
Slightly
bit,
different
yeah.
change of plans. At that point, it was a little too late to backpedal and say, no, this isn't what I envisioned. Long story short, he wanted to get, into owning his own business. The first business we did was a tool franchise. So that was the territory that was available. That's how we ended up in that location. It was East Texas, so he was happy.
Uh-huh.
And the town was culture shock. We went to a town with about 15,000 people. Walmart was about your only shopping option, and I took several years to adapt, but I finally did. That's where we had our kids. That's where we raised our kids. They went to school there, and it was a good town to raise children. didn't keep the tool franchise long term. He ended up selling out of that after about 10 years. Took a little time to figure out what he wanted to do next. He's got the entrepreneur gene. I do not. I was happy to go back to working at a bank. I did that for a little bit there. When our second child was born, I stayed home for a while after that. But then he decided to open a staffing company, and it was not a franchise. It was just from the ground up solo effort.
Wow.
Started it with about a $1,500 tax return, and
Oh my goodness.
had it for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Decided to sell it to a big corporation that came in, bought it. And I was hoping, okay, we can't retire, but he can just get a job at a bank like a normal person, work out the next, 10 years or so until we can retire. Built what we thought was our dream house where we were going to stay. And then, of course, after being out of it for about 18 months, he got the itch again and had to start another business. And
A true entrepreneur.
a true
then.
Yes.
entrepreneur,
Yes.
yes. Owning businesses, it has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. And I am risk averse, I would say. So to me, I see all the risks, all the hard work. People think, oh, it's so cool to be your own boss. You can take off when you want to take off and set your own schedule. And there might be some businesses out there that are like that, but not any that I've seen. So I knew what...
Yeah, but if you're not working, you're probably also not making money,
Exactly.
right?
Those are the ones that tend to... there's a very high percentage of businesses that fail. And so
Yes.
it's a valid concern. And my husband was not dismissive of those concerns, but, he knew he could do it. He wanted to do it.
He'd done it before.
Done it before. I wanted to do it again. We had grown to really love Mount Pleasant, but we knew that it wouldn't support just any type of business and that it was going to be a struggle to find something else where we could stay where we were at and start another business. And I'd always wanted to get back to Dallas. My husband hates Dallas, but that's how he got me. He dangled that carrot in front of me and said, I know we'll have to leave Mount Pleasant and, let's look at Dallas options. And so
Your ears perked up. Yeah, all right.
I thought, okay, that I can overcome my fears and get back on board with another business. But we really didn't know what we wanted to do. The tool franchise was one market. The staffing company was a whole other market. They were unrelated businesses, not much in common, one being a franchise, one being a non-franchise. We really were just starting from scratch. We didn't know what we wanted to do. And when we were talking about options, one of the things Mike was saying in the beginning, before I was 100% on board, was, what would you be interested in doing? What would you be excited
Smart
to
man.
do with me? And the other two businesses, I really was not that involved in. The first one was kind of like a one-man show. You have a tool truck. I helped him with inventory, but that was it. The second one, I had a good job with insurance, and we had kids, so I kept my job while he started up the staffing company. And so they both felt like his, and he wanted this to be ours. I really had never thought about what I would want to do if I, owned my own business, because that's not in my thought pattern. It's out of
Right.
character for me. But I was a spa junkie.
Ah,
I had been going to spas for over 20 years at that point. I did
do you
a program.
have a favorite?
Favorite spa?
Yeah.
I love them all. There's something to love about
That's
any and
true.
every spa I've been to. So I threw that out there. I was like, a spa might be fun, and he jumped on it within 48 hours. He had
Really?
yes, he had a list of existing spas for sale, mostly in the Dallas area. He had a list of franchise options, which, we knew nothing about. Would heard of Massage Envy. They kind of are one of the first franchise models in our industry. So knew of the concept, but we just started the investigation process at that point. Went to a spa in the Dallas area that was for sale. I just remember looking over at my husband when we were driving on Central Expressway, and the look on his face was just pure misery.
Aww.
And I decided to throw him a bone and
Let
say,
him go back
we
to his
don't
trees."
have to, we don't have to go to Dallas, but we probably will have to go. At that point in Mount Pleasant, Texarkana was, a viable option. Longview, Tyler, and then we're kind of considering Rockwall in the mix because it was close to Dallas, but still about the same distance from where we thought we could maybe keep our home and commute back and forth. I mean, we landed on Hand and Stone. Realized after talking to some owners of independent spas that without being in the industry, we really didn't know enough about the industry to do our own thing, and we needed that franchise structure. Went with Hand and Stone and never looked back. It's been almost 7 years now. It's been good. Bumpy rides sometimes, but overall good.
Sure. The franchise option, I think, is really interesting because it does give you so much of a framework to start with. If for people that are like, okay, I want to be a business owner. It's hard if you don't have a lot of the essential pieces in place.
Yes.
Like Ashley started completely from scratch with photography, but there's not a lot of moving parts, right? It's mainly just you. With what I do, it's kind of like franchise, but I've got like legal and shipping and all that taken care of, with the company that I partner with, but I'm not managing employees.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing.
It is.
With Hand and Stone, but they do give you a framework for that too, right?
They do.
So that's helpful.
And the way I think and operate, I would say my nature would fall more towards banking or, office type work. And they had me at their spreadsheets. They had some really good manuals and charts. And I was like, okay, I can follow this.
You're speaking your language.
Yes, that spoke my language. So in the beginning, being a franchise gave us that structure. Now, it's like, we could do this ourselves. And, overall, it's a good business model. It's getting to the point where we can step away a little bit and have a little bit of a life. And there's a really nice structure in place that a manager can follow and run it, like we would if we were there.
And you've got some great people that have been with you since the beginning.
We do.
That take care of like your customer service and the front desk. And I know massage therapists too, but also people behind the scenes that are making sure that everything's running smoothly.
Yes, there are a lot of moving parts, like you said, and we have an amazing team. And, people that go to spas might not really want to know the inner workings, but, there's people that help with laundry and just help keep it clean. And
I had no idea. Y'all keep it. It's like such a well-oiled machine that like as a client, I wondered. I was like, are there spa fairies? Like, how is this happening?
Yes.
Truly, because like I would come in for a service and I would see the person that the massage therapist that was going to work on me had just handed somebody off and they'd gone back for maybe like 2 minutes and then they're back with me. I'm like, how did they turn that room over so fast? Like, there's no way. There's no way. Spa fairies.
Yes, the spa fairies help, and everybody on our team is just really good at what they do. So hopefully it looks seamless.
It does. It definitely does. So at what point in all of this did you decide to go and get your license?
So the first year was just, it was a blur. It's like when you have a baby and you don't even think that the world is still going on outside of your little bubble. And then you walk outside and realize, oh, everything was still turning while I was, consumed with 2 a.m. feedings and diaper changes and all that good stuff. We're open 7 days a week, 9 to 9, Monday through Saturday, and 10 to 6 on Sundays. So in the beginning, we were there every minute the spa was open.
Wow.
And then some, doing the behind-the-scenes office work. So we didn't have time to do anything other than get it up and running, figure out, what we didn't know and learn it real quick. We do massages and we do facials. The massages sell themselves. We had people lined up for us to open the doors for massages, but facials was a little slower starting off. And the goal in our business model is 70% massage, 30% facial. We were not even close to that. So it was an area that we addressed pretty quickly that needed some help, but we really didn't know what to do other than go to corporate, see what support they had. And they did have support, but I started working closely with the estheticians, going to trainings with them, and just working more one-on-one with them, and kind of realized I loved that field. And there's 2 lines that we carry, Dermalogica and Clarity. Dermalogica has a learning loft is what they call it in Plano, but it's where they teach classes. And so I would take estheticians on a field trip to Dallas to do classes, and they were so gracious. They would let me sit in, and they were like, well, you can't, do anything on, on a client or student. You can just observe. You can't participate. And I was, happy with that. I just kind of realized I was a skincare junkie as well, and became really interested in the science behind it and product ingredients and that kind of stuff. So went back to my husband. I said, been open about 1.5 years now. We've got a good flow. You think you can handle it by yourself if I go to school for aesthetics? And he was, as usual, very supportive, and said that sounds like a great idea. And a school had just opened in White House. I thought I was going to have to commute back and forth to, someplace in the Dallas area. So it was kind of just perfect timing that I decided to do it at that time. It was about a 7-month program, completely stepped away from the spa, did that full time, and then went back in and tried to improve things from the inside out with more knowledge about how to do it and how to effectively train somebody in a field that now I knew, what I was talking about. Basically, it's hard to get respect from an employee when you're telling them to do something that you don't know how to do yourself. So
yes,
that really helped kind of turn that department around. We got closer to the 30% goal of skincare, and I don't really see clients anymore, but I feel like I'm a more effective manager of that department for sure. And I do all the nerdy office stuff and order the inventory and research new products and go try services. If Hand & Stone does roll out a service that we're not sure if we want to carry or not, especially if it involves purchasing an expensive piece of equipment, I'll go to the Dallas area to a Hand & Stone that has that service, and it's market research. I have to do it.
Well, bless your heart.
I know,
that
right?
must be so hard.
It's one of the tough aspects of the job.
My husband yesterday, he telling him, or this week, hey, this evening we're going to be going to Hand & Stone, and they've got it set up. They're going to be treating us to a massage and a facial. And he goes, well, it almost, because that's a good reason to start a podcast. I'm like, yeah, bless our hearts.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When you were treating clients, what was your favorite thing?
Probably my favorite thing is developing a treatment plan for somebody that wants to correct an issue. Mm-hmm. I love giving and receiving a nice, relaxing spa facial, but my passion is really skin treatments. Mm-hmm. Acne is really fun to work on because it can really affect somebody's life. Mm-hmm. It can be life-changing for them to have a visible improvement in a problem like that. sun damage is a little trickier to correct, but it can be done. My father-in-law was a guinea pig for me one time, and I did a series of microderms and peels and just anti-aging products and took before and after pictures, and it was really gratifying to see the difference that it made.
Yeah,
After-
both visibly, and then did you see him kind of...
A little bit. I mean, he was really surprised that it improved, but one thing with sun damage, you have to be diligent about wearing SPF or it just comes right back. And he's a guy that likes to get out and do yard work, and, you know, so he's back to the before stage now, but, and he's 80, so, you know, he was...
I feel like that's like the number one thing estheticians have told me over the years that people don't do that they can do to improve the quality of their skin is wear sunscreen. Mm-hmm. And then like a good one, right? Because there's different, I know you're a product junkie and ingredients now, so I feel like you can tell me, but I feel like there's a difference between maybe just grabbing something off the shelf at a drugstore as far as sunscreen on your face versus utilizing something that is designed for your face.
Yeah, and a lot of people won't wear sunscreen because they don't like the way it feels, or it makes their skin itchy, or it makes their eyes burn, or it feels sticky. If you get a good quality SPF, it's night and day. It's
100%.
Yeah.
I got one the last time I was in for a facial, maybe last month. Bree did a facial for me, and I asked her, I was like, I know I need to wear more sunscreen. I was like, but I need a good one that I'm going to like, that I'm going to like the way it feels, so I want to put it on my face. She was like, I have the perfect one. And I left there, and it does. It's like, it's invisible. I think it's called invisible. And it feels invisible on your skin. It's like after moisturizer, you put it on. There's a little bit of whiteness initially, but it's gone so fast. And then like applying my makeup over it, I didn't feel a difference at all.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, okay, this one I would recommend to people, you know?
When I would go to the spa, you know, over the years in my 20s, if I did get a facial, I would go to their bathroom and wash my face with the hand soap to get the SPF off because I hated the way it felt so bad. I was 47 when I went to school for aesthetics and started learning, you know, what to look for in an SPF, and now I use it so religiously. I had surgery recently, and they said absolutely nothing on your face, you know, no moisturizer, no lotions, no lip gloss, nothing.
Oh, that's
and
hard.
I asked the surgeon, I'm like, what about my SPF? And he just looked at me like, okay, you're a little odd, but like I do not leave the house without
And you have
it.
fantastic skin.
Oh, thank you.
People
You really
are,
do.
people are listening, they can't see, but I mean, as you're talking, I'm going, good Lord have mercy.
Same.
You have amazing skin.
Yes,
Does it
it's
look
beautiful.
52?
No. No.
Thank you.
No.
And I started late. If I had been wearing
Baby
SPF
soft.
in my 20s, even better.
That was what I was told early on. I asked, I said, what is the one thing I can do? Like, and I was curious about service. Like, I was willing to come in more often. I was like, what's the best thing I can do for my skin? Because I want to age gracefully. And they said, wear sunscreen. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, I thought you were going to tell me to come in for a monthly facial. Sunscreen?
Yeah.
They're like, yep. And
It's
I'm
the
like, okay.
biggest thing you can do.
What's another, like, you know, kind of secret tip or tool that most people don't know, but it's like an easy thing to incorporate?
Wash your face every
Yeah.
night.
Okay,
Don't
is it
sleep
true?
in your makeup.
Is it true that if you sleep in your makeup that it ages you by 7 days?
I haven't heard that, but
good.
it does clog your pores,
Yeah.
and it doesn't give your skin a chance to breathe. And at nights when you need to use your active ingredients in your skincare because your body's in the rest state, it's healing, so you're going to get more benefit from anti-aging products, serums, you know, peptides, all the good stuff if you apply them at night.
Well, and I think, you know, something like you seeking out the education that you did, I can see the trickle-down effect because, for instance, when I went in for my massage yesterday, the therapist that was supposed to have you saw our things and wanted to switch because she had heard of lipedema. And so she wanted to come. She was like, can I have her? Because she recognized it. She'd learned about it because she's a like an oncology provider.
Yes.
Is that Kelly?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
She's so sweet.
when she went and she learned about oncology, because so much of cancer stuff has to deal with the lymphatic system, lipedema was thrown in there. I was fascinated that somebody actually knew what it was.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. But then I go on to my facial, and she's telling me, you know, like, what products do you use? And I'm like, I'm a pitiful case, number one. She's like, well, what moisturizer do you use? I'm like, if I use one, it's Clinique. And she goes, okay, well, let me tell you something about Clinique. They have a hyaluronic acid base, which is great as long as you are really well, like, you're drinking a lot of water, really well hydrated, because hyaluronic acid goes into the skin and it's looking for water molecules. So if you haven't been drinking your water, it can actually have the opposite effect and dry your skin out. And I'm like, what? I never knew that. But it was just so cool. I mean, because I think it's important both to offer a really wonderful service, but then to also provide people with the power of knowledge, because now if I love the way like my Clinique feels, but if I haven't been drinking water, I'm like, no, because I don't want it to dry out my skin. And I'm empowered now by that knowledge. And so that's awesome.
I hope everybody that comes in for a facial learns something
when
they're there. I've tried to train my estheticians that education is one of the components of a facial service. We want the massage therapist to be quiet unless they're asked to, engage with the client. But during a facial, you're probably going to get talked to a lot, because that's the way I teach my estheticians. And I would rather get a complaint that they talked too much about skincare, not about, football game that they watched the day before or whatever. But continuing education is one of my passions, and it's something I expect out of my estheticians. The lines that we carry, Dermalogica and Clarity, offer free education to Hand and Stone employees. I expect them to take advantage of that. And if you're not learning in the aesthetics field, you're not going to keep up, because it evolves and changes and new products come out. And hyaluronic acid is kind of, one of the hot ingredients right now, but collagen and peptides and vitamin C, if they can't explain why that's beneficial to the client, then, they're not doing their job, in my opinion. So
I love it for that reason too. It's because so much of, you can go in and get an amazing service, but if you're not taking care of your skin in between your services, then it's like each time you go in, you're repairing damage and you're not really gaining any ground, right?
Yes.
And so what I've loved over the years is asking questions about what can I do in between, or what products do you think would be best for me to include? Maybe I can't afford everything, but like, you've seen my skin now, you've given me a treatment. What would you recommend I start with today?
Yeah.
Or add on as I'm able to, and they've been so wonderful. And I love hyaluronic acid now that I know what it is. Holly told me, I guess it what is it, 1,000 times its weight in water is what it'll pull.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That's why it's so like you. And she asked me, she was like, are you drinking plenty of water today? And I said, yes, Holly. I said, I knew I was coming in, and I realized I hadn't had enough water. So like, I had to go to the bathroom before my massage and before my facial, because I was like trying to hydrate, because I knew, because with massage too, if you're not hydrated, you'll be in a lot of pain the next day if they really get in there and work on deep tissue. And Kim did. She was phenomenal. So yeah, I drank a lot of water before I went, and then she asked me, I was like, yes, I have another bottle of water in my purse for after.
I know sometimes we feel like we're preschool teachers or something. Do you need to potty before your massage? Yeah. Did you drink some water? But it's important. It's tied into the services that we provide, and it makes a huge difference in how you feel, how your skin looks. It's important. It's not just, we're not just trying to sell a product to make a sale. One of the things that's hard as an esthetician to have a client that really wants to see a difference in their skin, and they come in and they get a professional treatment, but then they go home and use poor quality products or just soap and water. And then they come back a month later frustrated that they're not seeing a difference. And we are proud of what we offer in the spa, but 80% of what you see in your skin is what you're using at home on a regular basis. And it being in your cabinet isn't using it. You actually have to open the bottle and put it on your skin.
Mandee.
No, it's true. It's true. We had this conversation, about a month ago? We were talking about it because I left with some products that I had really great intentions of using, but Loree gave me great tips about how to use them. So the milk foliant is a daily exfoliant that you can use on your skin.
Keep it in the shower. Keep it by your toothbrush. Keep it somewhere where you're gonna...
It lives in my shower now. Out away from the stream so that it's not like whatever.
Exactly.
But I'm using it now because of that. And then you told me with the mask that you leave it by the bathtub so that you'll use it when you're, and so I'm like, okay, great. Because that's, y'all, this is probably too much information, but I'm going to tell you because we talked about it on another podcast. One of my nighttime routines is I take a bath in the evening, but that's when I take off my makeup. So I use an eye makeup remover pad. I have one of those wipes to get kind of the majority of the junk off. And then I use a better cleanser. But now I'm using my mask.
Look at you
I
go.
have it.
I'm all for multitasking, and I love ingredients or products that multitask. If it can be your SPF and your moisturizer and a little coverage, amazing. If it can be your cleanser and your exfoliant in one, great. You're not doing anything bad by doing 3 steps instead of 5,
Right.
Yeah. I love a good
Do
serum
what
under my
works for you.
moisturizer too. That's made a huge difference in my skin over the last few years. But I'd never used a serum before. Nobody had ever really talked to me about it. And when I started incorporating it, it was like, oh my gosh, this makes such a difference.
That's where you're usually going to find your powerhouse ingredients is in serums.
But then I didn't know when to apply it. So that's the other thing. It's like, okay, guys, tell me when. Okay, so what do I do first? I wash my face and then serum?
It depends on your whole routine. So if you're going to exfoliate, you want to cleanse, exfoliate, then serums, moisturize, SPF in the morning.
All before makeup.
All before makeup, yes. And then at night, it's usually more simplified. Double cleanse at night because you want to cleanse the dirt, debris, makeup off, and then your second cleanse is actually cleansing your skin. Otherwise, you're just smearing the makeup around with the cleanser. So a makeup wipe and then a cleanser is fine. A specific product that's a first cleanse is great, and then a cleanser after that. And then a lot of times just a serum and a moisturizer for night.
But Holly did such a good job yesterday, and she did kind of pick on me because we were in Savannah for my birthday, and I did go to sleep with my makeup on a lot. I think we were there 4 nights. I think I did it 3 out of the 4 nights. I mean, I was on vacation and not my normal routine, right? But it was funny because she had treated my skin maybe 6 months ago. We had done the same treatment. And so she knew, she had kept notes on me, and she remembered exactly what we did last time. She was like, do you want to do the same? She was like, your skin was different last time you were here. And Ashley's looking at me kind of laughing. And I was like, yeah, it was. And she was like, what are you doing differently? And I was like, well,
Not taking my makeup off.
Take my makeup off before I went to sleep this week. She was like, oh, that's exactly it. She was like, your pores are clogged. And I didn't remember your skin being, in this state the last time I saw it.
Even just traveling alone can cause changes in your skin, and people don't think about climate changes. And if they travel from a humid area to a dry area, they need to take a totally different skincare regimen because your skin needs different things depending on
and cabin air pressure. In the plane will dehydrate you.
Exactly.
I was pretty dehydrated, and I realized that. That's why I downed the water up for it. I was like, this isn't going to be enough, but it's a start. I was like, they're going to get me.
Helps.
They're going to know I'm dehydrated. It's so funny that you can tell that through your skin, but you can.
Can't really keep secrets from your hairdresser or your esthetician.
Oh, yeah.
That's so true.
That needs to be on a plaque on a wall somewhere.
I know, right?
That's a good one.
And it's a judgment-free zone. So, a lot of people are so intimidated about getting a facial, especially when they see the lamp with the magnifying light. You know, they're like, oh my gosh, I hate that you're going to see my skin. That's what we live for. Like, you don't become an esthetician unless you like popping pimples or, you know, or looking at skin. I mean, it attracts a certain kind of person. Massage therapy attracts a certain personality trait, you know. So definitely never apologize for what your skin looks like when you come in for a facial, because we're in the room doing what we love to do.
And I did not feel judgment whatsoever. Just to clarify, she was just curious. She was like, your skin looks different than the last time I saw it. And I was amazed that she noticed and that she'd kept such good notes.
That's amazing.
But it was such a lovely service. Thank you. I know we said thank you when you got here, but seriously, thank you. It was such a treat, and I'm just so fortunate and feel so blessed to have met you guys and develop the relationship that we have, because I mean, I'm kind of a spa junkie too. I was here going, do I need to go to esthetician school? Do I need to add this to my list of crazy things that I've done in my life?
Hold on, sister.
No, it wouldn't be the strangest thing.
I'm interested. I'm just naturally curious, but I am interested in skincare now because I have started paying attention. As I'm aging, I want to do it as gracefully as I can.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that I started early, asking questions and whatever. But I mean, really, you can start anytime.
Exactly. It's never too late.
Well, what would you say to somebody who's like, I've never been, I'm curious, I want to come in and have a facial, but I am intimidated? Where would you have them start? Because I know you offer a wide range of services.
Just book a regular facial and let the esthetician recommend what you need. That's what we're there for. Everything that we do at our spa is non-invasive. We're not a med spa, so you're not going to have any treatment that's painful or that is going to have downtime required after. And what we do is surface exfoliation. We remove dead skin cells. We don't affect live tissue. So don't be scared to come in thinking, oh, I've got, a party in 4 days. I don't want to be red and flaky. Or, we ask about events that you might have coming up. And even though what we do is non-invasive, we might not do a peel if you're going to have an event in 4 days. Because some people flake and peel and some people don't. It doesn't mean it was more effective for one person than the other. It's just how your skin reacted and pretty much the state of your skin going into it. If your skin is dehydrated and your barrier is impaired, you're going to have more of a visible reaction than somebody who's been on a good home care routine. Their skin is healthy, hydrated. They're probably not going to have any, redness or irritation for a couple of days. So I think just booking a service and letting the esthetician make the recommendation is how everybody should treat their first facial.
Yeah, I've never been here. This is my first time.
Yeah.
Help me out.
We're not going to do our most aggressive exfoliation treatment on your first visit.
I'm just curious because it's stuff that I've thought about before, but I've never just had outside of an appointment time to sit down and ask all of these questions. And I mean, I asked Holly a lot of questions yesterday during our appointment, and she explained the nano infusion to me and all of that. And I mean, it's such a cool experience, and my skin feels amazing. It was a little bit more irritated when I left this time than it was the last, but she told me, she was like, I was a little bit more aggressive because I thought your skin could handle it. And I was like, all right, girl, I trust you. You do this every day. I don't. So you do what you think is better, and then just tell me what to do tonight and tomorrow, and we're solid.
Yes. The nano infusion is one of my favorite services now. It's good for just about any skin type. It's also called nano needling, which scares a lot of people because there's technically not a needle involved. It has little silicone cones that is what touches your skin, but it doesn't penetrate the skin. You're not going to have any pinprick bleeding or tearing of any live tissue, but it's just irritating enough to stimulate blood flow and give you a little bit of an exfoliation. But its main purpose is to penetrate serums into your skin. And like I said, that's where you're going to see your powerhouse ingredients is with serums. So depending on what you're wanting to treat, we would use a different serum with it. But when you do leave, you are a little red. Your skin might feel sunburned.
That's exactly what it
felt
like.
Just a little tender. But we're wanting to trick your body into thinking it needs to heal your skin.
Oh, that makes
sense. So it floods nutrients to the skin that help build collagen, protect elastin fibers. And so it's an anti-aging treatment that works after you've left the spa. It's stimulating activity underneath the skin. So I love it.
I love it too. And then the Diamond Glow that Ashley had, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like a microderm and serum at the same time?
Yeah, it's kind of like microderm on steroids. So you get the physical exfoliation from the diamond head tip. So it feels kind of like a cat tongue licking you, or you feel that that texture that's sloughing off the dead skin cells. And then the hand piece that's patented to do what it does, it infuses a serum at the same time. So
She used a vitamin C serum yesterday.
Yeah, vitamin C is a amazing ingredient to look for in skincare products.
Yeah. So much fun. Like, I think who would have known that there's all this like fun stuff to nerd out on with all of this?
I know, right?
Because we just kind of go and thanks and get your facials, but there's actually like science behind it.
It is, yes.
Yeah. Relaxing and science at the same time.
There you go.
Yep. Well, Loree, it's been such a pleasure to have you. We talk about you each time on the podcast. So Cumberland Shopping Center is where you can find Hand and Stone. You can book online or you can call the spa.
Correct, yeah. The spa number is 903-345-6051. And our website is handandstonetyler.com.
So we have questions that we like to ask all of our guests, and they're super hard. So
I could talk about skincare all day long. I don't know.
They're not super hard. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I was going to mess with her. Like, let's get her a trigonometry book out here.
I've listened to the podcast. I know what the questions are, and I've prepared my answers.
Okay. Let's prepared. See, the whole charting, the charts, and the spreadsheets. This is coming out now. So first question is, what is your coffee order?
Coffee order can vary, but it's always sweet and creamy. So it's a dessert, not a coffee. I'm definitely the pumpkin spice coffee girl this time of year, but standard caramel macchiato is probably my go-to.
Yum.
What about cocktails? Do you like a good cocktail?
Mango margarita.
Look how fast that came out.
At Don Juan's on the square.
Ooh,
That
nice.
is my go-to
I love Don Juan.
I do
so
too.
good.
drink order.
I do too. What about travel? I know this about you. Your husband is not a traveler, but you are.
Yes, I love to travel. Finally just gave up on waiting for him to go on trips with me. So I travel with my mom, my sister, my friends, by myself. I actually would love to go on a big trip by myself.
Okay, so that's the question. Big
Where would
swanky
you
trip.
go?
That's
Big
it.
swanky
Where
trip.
would you go?
So I'm not that confident I would want to go to an English-speaking country, if I was by myself, because I'd want the security of knowing I could communicate. Probably like big trip, but also realistic at the same time. One of the European Viking cruises that goes to multiple countries,
Yes.
so I could get the most out of that one big trip. But
If you need a travel buddy, I'll go on that trip with you. I've wanted to go on those for years.
there's not many places I would not want to go.
Yeah. Is there a river or destinations along one of those river cruises that you've looked at that you're like, ooh, definitely that city?
I have not mapped it out because I'm not a window shopper. I don't want to look at something I can't have. So if the time comes that I can plan that trip, I will have a great time planning that. I want to go to England. That's, our sister over there. Italy, France, Germany, Switzerland. I want it all. I want to go to all of it. So as much as I could get done on one trip,
Be awesome.
that would be the one
awesome.
I'd take.
Well, you are absolutely a joy. I know you were nervous, but
I
you
was
did
very nervous.
amazing.
Did
I hope you felt
awesome.
comfortable. We've loved having you here.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me be a nerd and talk about.
We're nerds, so you're in good hands here.
Yes.
I've listened to y'all's podcast, and it's intimidating coming in after people that have such amazing stories and that have made a difference in, other people's lives. I'm like, I have a spa. What do you want to talk to me about? But
You are making a difference.
Yeah.
You're employing people, which is a big deal. You're offering those,
I am.
and your employees, the ones that I've talked to that have shared it with me, you guys do a great job taking care of them. They appreciate working there.
yeah,
That allows them to provide for their families.
that's a good
is
feeling.
huge.
It's also one of the overwhelming stresses is we do consider our employees family, and if they're struggling, we're hurting. If they're hurting, we're hurting.
That right there,
so-
then, is what makes you
That
special.
makes a
because
difference.
how many employers out there actually feel that way? It's a rarity, and that's to be celebrated, which is why
Aw,
you are
thank you.
here.
Yes.
And that's the thing too with anybody. It's not even what you do that makes you celebratory. It's who you are. So we just thank you for being you.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
The Celebrating Women podcast wants to hear from you. Email us a voice message to celebratingwomenpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear your story or the story of an incredible woman you know. Become part of the conversation on social media. Facebook.com/Celebrating Women Podcast. On Instagram, search Celebrating Women Podcast. The Celebrating Women Podcast has been presented by Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Book your appointment today. Stop by the spa in Cumberland Shopping Center or online at handandstonetyler.com. The Celebrating Women podcast is created and hosted by Mandee Montana and Ashley Fisher. Support the show for as little as $3 per month at celebratingwomenpodcast.buzzsprout.com or visit our show notes. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the Celebrating Women podcast.